Welcome, nerds, to another episode of your weekly news update. In today's episode, we've got tours coming out our ears in the music section. Meta and YouTube are actually listening to users. We have Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles updates to talk about, plus more Star Wars reboot rumors to squash. This is the Week in Nerdom. Okay, so let's jump into housekeeping, if you will. In housekeeping, honestly, pretty standard for a couple of weeks still. We still have a little while before any scheduling conflicts are going to come into play. So as far as scheduling goes, that's doing just fine. As far as traction goes on any of the other channels, I'm super excited to report that things are really picking up. So thank you very much, nerds. If you found the main channel through the Nerd News clips or through one of the syndicated outlets like Nerdy Legion or Big Show Entertainment Network, then welcome. Thank you very much for joining. That's really all we've got for housekeeping. Super quick and easy, so let's jump into the news. Starting things off in music news, we have one follow-up to talk about, and this one is not a correction, it's a legitimate follow-up. This has to do with Corey Taylor and his feelings on the unreleased Slipknot side project album. The name of the album is Look Outside Your Window. We talked about this being possibly released come April, since their contract with Roadrunner Records is up in April, and this would be something that is well out of the wheelhouse for Slipknot. Well, Corey has recently said in an interview he honestly hopes that it never gets released, not because he doesn't believe in the material, not because of anything like that, but simply because he doesn't think that the material is going to live up to the hype. He also has made it very clear that this is very much Sean's baby, so Clown. It's very much his baby. It's very much his side project. He just came in and sang some stuff, and that was the only say he had in this record. So whether or not it gets released is not up to him, so which I guess is kind of great. I'm grateful for, because I'm very intrigued by this. Not so much so that as to when it comes out and when we hear the music, that I'm gonna be disappointed because it doesn't sound anything like Slipknot, because it's not gonna sound anything like Slipknot. So yeah, just an interesting follow-up on the current goings-on behind the scenes with the boys over in Slipknot, and specifically with that Look Outside Your Window project. Very intriguing, but let's get into new music, shall we? So starting things off, we have Devil Driver releasing some new music. I'm super stoked about this. The name of this song is Through the Depths. We have a new record coming out, the official Demons, Dealing with Demons Volume 2 is set to go on sale in May. I could not find a specific release date for it, but that's what you got. I really dig this song. So the last Dealing with My Demons record, Volume 1, was really good, but the Devil Driver I know and love is pretty dark and extra heavy, and that's what this song is, and that's what this whole record is supposed to be as well. So very excited to hear the rest of this record. If you're looking for some really dark and heavy, check this out for sure. Next is another one of the best metalcore bands out there, and that is Unearth has released another track from their upcoming The Wretched, The Ruinous. This one does have a proper date, and that is May 5th. This new song is called Mother Betrayal. Trevor Phipps, the vocalist for Unearth, never ceases to impress with these vocals, and his vocals, as they get older, just get more brutal. I just found out while doing research for this episode that Ken Suzy is no longer part of this band, which is a little disappointing because I really liked Ken's work, but Buzz is doing some good stuff on this track as well, so go check this one out absolutely if you are into the metalcore. So our next piece of new music comes with a little bit of controversy. That's because it is Sophie Lloyd. Now, Sophie Lloyd herself is not a controversial figure, but she plays guitar for Machine Gun Kelly, which is pretty controversial, which is kind of the thing that kind of piqued my interest with this. And then the other thing is Matthew K. Hafey, as he prefers to be called in the media these days, is doing vocals on this track. So that's pretty awesome. The name of the track is Fall of Man, again, featuring Matthew K. Hafey, and this is not great. I'm just not a big thrash guy, I guess, because this is very much thrash. This is very actually technically proficient thrash. She is a hell of a player. Matt has a hell of a voice. Just the combination doesn't really do much for me. Matt by himself doesn't, I'm kind of middle of the road with that. So when he's doing guest spots on somebody else's thrashy tune, just doesn't do a whole lot for me. Then we've got Veil of Maya's new track, Red Fur. The new album from them is coming May 12th. May is just going to be a huge month, I think, for music. The new album's name is Mother with the M in parentheses. So other with an M, whatever. Veil of Maya, I've heard some stuff from them in the past. They've never really blown me out of the water. Production on this is actually quite great. I just am not a big fan of the performance. Vocally, I feel like he doesn't really do any one particular thing super well, so he tries to like throw as much out there and see what sticks, and that just strikes me as not great. I can understand why people are into this band. I just am not one of those people. This track doesn't do much to change my mind either, so take with that what you will, I guess. Now we are getting a little bit out of our regular wheelhouse as far as these new music things go, and we're talking about Oliver Tree and David Guetta. They have a new track together called Here We Go Again, and Oliver Tree is great neo-pop. I really, really dig Oliver Tree. David Guetta is pretty standard techno, EDM kind of stuff, so the two of them together is still great pop. This is definitely a song that when I was in my more pop-oriented phase of music appreciation in my life, probably would have put on rotation regularly. This song, though, I think is a great example of why Oliver Tree is really a great pop presence. I think everyone should have some sort of appreciation for pop music because there's a lot to be learned from writing something so incredibly catchy. And this, again, very prime example of that. So definitely check out Here We Go Again from these two. That's all we got. And then we've got a boatload of tours to talk about, guys. So, all right, let's jump into this because I think it took a couple months longer. Usually this happens in February, so a month longer. Usually this happens in February every year. You get a whole bunch of tours get announced, and then like that's what the year is. Everything gets announced February, March into April, and then the rest of the tours, or the rest of the year is everybody touring. Starting in March apparently this year, though everybody's kind of already on tour, leftover remnants from the end of last year. But we have a bunch more. So we're going to start at the top. First is Between the Buried and Me have announced they're going out with support from Thank You Scientist, who I've never heard of, but they're getting billed over Rivers of Nile, who is the other supporting act in this, and they're pretty big, so I don't know who this Thank You Scientist is, but very interesting they're getting billed over Rivers of Nile. This trek starts June 16th in Charleston, South Carolina, runs through July 31st, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, though there's a lot of dates in between that. I know it starts on the southeast coast and ends on the southeast coast, but there's a lot of stuff in between, so don't be fooled. This is pre-sale tickets for this are going out March, so today. I don't have the link just yet, but I do have a link that will get you to the link if I can't find the proper pre-sale ticket link. But either way, 10 p.m. today as I'm filming, so yesterday as you're seeing this, hopefully there's still some pre-sale tickets left, otherwise you gotta wait for the regular sale, which happens on Friday. Next on the touring schedule, we have Falling in Reverse. The name of the tour is the Popular Mons Tour. Get it? It's a pun. Support is from Ice Nine Kills, Under Oath, Spirit Box, Slaughter to Prevail, Crown the Empire, and Catch Your Breath. Not all of those bands are support for all of the dates. There's different legs with different supporting acts. I believe Catch Your Breath is on the most supporting dates, and then everybody else is pretty much second bill. So Slaughter Prevail, Spirit Box, Crown the Empire, so on and so forth. So Ice Nine Kills, I think, is also on a great handful of these dates. So yeah, just kind of check the listings. There will be, again, a link in the description if you're interested in tickets. Tour starts June 26th, Charleston, West Virginia, runs through July 30th in Redding, California. The pre-sale on this one goes up March 9th at 10 p.m. So that as you're watching this, very likely, there is pre-sale. There is a link down in the description. Again, there isn't a current link right now as I'm sitting in front of this camera, but if I can get the link, I will include it. Otherwise, the link that exists down there is enough to get you to the pre-sale. You just got to click a couple more times. Next is actually a very interesting touring announcement, and that is Halo Effect. Halo Effect is completely made up of former band members from the band In Flames. They all were in Flames at one point, and now they all are in a band together. So very interesting. They are going out with, again, one of my favorites, Unearth. Super stoked about that. And High Command. The only thing about this is I think there's only like 6 dates running from May 20th in Hartford, Connecticut, all the way through May 28th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of dates on this one, but this is the first time that Halo Effect is coming to the States, so that in and of itself is also significant. You can find a link down in the description to get to the tickets. There was no pre-sale for this. The tickets are not on sale yet. There was no proper announcement for exactly when the tickets would go on sale, though I'd imagine it's very soon, so keep checking the link down below. We're going to move on. Our next tour that we're talking about is also quite huge, though neither of these main bands I'm very much into. That is Pierce the Veil and The Used are both going on a co-headlining tour. The name of the tour is Creative Control. It's a North American tour, very exclusively. Starts May 23rd in Austin, Texas, runs through July 2nd in Phoenix, Arizona. Pre-sale also went up, or is going up tonight after I'm done filming with this, so there will be a link, again, hopefully down in the description to help you guys out if you are interested in seeing The Used or Pierce the Veil. There is a number of opening bands as well, but honestly, those are kind of the biggest names that anybody's really going to care about on these bills, so that's why it's in the notes. And then our final tour that we're talking about for this episode is Megadeth has announced that they are going on a new world tour. This is not just North America, so it's going to be huge. The bands that they're going on tour with are Bullet for My Valentine, which is an interesting choice, and Oni, which is also an interesting choice. These guys are going on tour with Megadeth? Really? Megadeth? Okay. The tour starts April 20th in Everett, Washington, and runs through May 15th in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I believe this is just going to be the first leg of this world tour for Megadeth, and more dates will be announced in the not too distant future. But yeah, it is a world tour, technically speaking, even now, because they're going to 3 different countries. So there you go. That is what we have for tours. And there is no regular ass news for this episode in music, so let's just jump right into music suggestion, and it is Avatar this week. Avatar's new record, Dance Devil Dance, was released February 17th. Go listen to it. I honestly have yet to listen to it myself, aside from the first single that we talked about a couple episodes ago in the new music releases, and yeah, I'm very excited to hear the new stuff. I really liked Hunter Gatherer. There's no reason to expect that is not going to continue, especially considering that single that we already have. So yeah, super excited to go listen to Avatar's Dance Devil Dance. So let's now get into some gaming and tech, shall we? All right, so gaming and tech, we have a couple of follow-ups to talk about. First up, welcome to the first day as I'm recording this. Second day as I'm recording this, so very likely third day as you are watching, of Season 3 for Halo Infinite, and it looks like they're finally fixing this game. This is where it should have been over a year ago when it launched. But it says, so far so good. I have yet, I'm updating right now as we speak, and then I will probably get on and play at some point maybe not tonight because I'm a little behind on editing and such, but yeah, if you are playing it, let's have a conversation. Is it what we were hoping for, or is it still broken AF, as the kids say? It sounds like, and this is pretty awesome. This was I saw this and didn't actually include it in the notes, but Mint Blitz, who is a very popular Halo YouTuber, made a video about the broken theater game mode, and it seems that people at 343, people who have the ability to affect such things, have heard him and have heard the outcries from the community, and they have said, through channels, not in any sort of official word just yet, so I guess technically this is a rumor, but we're putting it here anyway because we're already talking about Halo, that they're going to be working on theater mode, which is great because I really like to try and make clips from theater mode because you can get the camera angles in different places and you can make people look even worse when you wreck them. So yeah, I really like to do that and put it up on shorts. So please make it better or easier at least for me to do that. 343, thank you. Let's move on. All right, so the next one is a big follow-up on YouTube. It seems that the user outcry, the creator outcry, if you will, has been heard as far as the new regulations on language in videos. They aren't exactly walking it back entirely, but the new language policies that they rolled out in November, I believe. Yes, that they rolled out in November. Will be going live as of yesterday. And effectively what we're doing, so the original new policy from November was that the first 8 to 15 seconds roughly of your video, you could not use any quote-unquote harsh or what was the exact vocabulary? Something strong language or moderately strong language, I think was even part of the vocabulary. Meaning you couldn't say any kind of curse words. And now there's been a significant walk back on that. They are now saying that it's just strong language and it doesn't completely negate your ability to get monetized on the platform, that video specifically. But it does make you more susceptible to demonetization. And then throughout the course of the video, they say it can't be egregious. I think I have the exact vocabulary here in my notes. New policy will allow for monetization options carrying degrees even with strong language at the very beginning of the video. So strong language, I think, honestly, the community, I would venture, I'm speaking out of class a little bit, but I would venture that the community would consider strong, quote unquote, strong language, F-bombs and like the harassing and maybe abusive, borderline abusive language. That would probably be strong. I don't think that's what YouTube is considering strong though. I think you got to take it down a couple notches from that to get to their definition of strong. So be wary, creators, be wary. But again, it's not going to automatically demonetize your video if such language exists in the beginning of the video or throughout the course of the video. It seems that there's going to be some sort of other monitoring system and that it takes other things into consideration. I hate how vague they are. I hate this, which is why here on Generally Nerdy, I try and not do any of the excessive language or any really harsh language at all, because I don't know what the line is and I want as many people to see these videos as possible. So there you go. That being said, that's what we've got for YouTube. Next is Meta. Remember in the intro we talked about YouTube and Meta. Well, Meta is now, as of right now, actually yesterday, as I was taking these notes, they have now extended Reels on Facebook to 90 seconds. Reels on Instagram have been at 90 seconds since I believe October. So now it's a uniform Reels length. You can do 90 seconds. which is still a far cry from the 10 minutes that you can do on TikTok. But honestly, who's watching 10-minute short form videos? Nobody. That's not short form, that's average form. That is average length for a digital video these days on any sort of digital video content platform. So yeah, if you do Reels, Facebook is trying to catch up with TikTok, and YouTube's leaving them all in the dust, it seems like, because they're well, I don't know. That's numbers that we need to get into on the how-to content channel, because that's not for this. Either way, that's the basic piece. 90-second reels. Let's move right along. We have one trailer in gaming and tech this week, and it has to do with, honestly, I didn't see this one coming. It's Overwatch. Overwatch 2 just launched, or is launching rather, a One Punch Man collaboration. So there's going to be some new epic skins in the Overwatch 2 game store. And one of them is One Punch Man, and well, I think he's even a new character. I don't know. It's a little vague. The trailer's pretty awesome, though. Probably gonna start doing a little bit more Overwatch in the Friday videos. Just saying. But that's what we got for the trailers. Let's get into some regular-ass news. We got first in regular-ass news, Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 4 has been announced, along with a trailer of sorts, but it's been officially announced that the 4th edition of this very, very popular franchise amongst the people who play Dragon Ball. Yeah, I'm not one of those people, so that's the announcement. Let's move right along. The next piece is rather large. So, Escape from Tarkov is a game that's played on Steam that apparently is, I've never played it, so I'm just going off of what I've read and heard from others. But apparently it is an FPS that is insanely detailed as far as like the type of ammo for each individual weapon is multifaceted. Like you can get different types of ammo for each different gun, and it just gets even more intricate from there. So that kind of gives you at least some sort of base layer idea of the intricacies of this. And also the difficulty of acquiring gear in this game is actually rather high. So, and we're getting to a point, I promise. So people tend to pay for other people's gear. You can trade gear between players, and that costs real world money sometimes to do. So there has been a bit of a cheating issue with Escape from Tarkov, sorry. And it's not... This is the interesting part, because the production company that makes this game, the developer, Battle State Games, is, at least on a surface level, aware of the cheating issue. But I don't think they were aware of the cheating issue previous, at least not to the level in which it has reached. They were not that aware of it previous to YouTuber Goat making a video where he kind of shows how rampant the cheating is going. Approximately half of all games played on Tarkov have at least one cheater. I would imagine it's very close to all of those cheater games have multiple cheaters. I would imagine the single cheater per game is the exception, not the rule, when it comes to that. So, and there's a whole big long way in which Goat found all of these cheaters. Needless to say, of the TLDR of it is effectively he had to cheat in order to find other cheaters, because one of the main things cheaters use is wall hacks. You can see through walls, and on these maps there are sometimes literally mountains between players, and they're signaling each other that they can see one another. So the only way that you could see through a mountain is if you're cheating. And now again, Battle State Games is saying that they have multiple statements. The first statement that was made was, we ban thousands of cheaters a day. Please do your part and report anyone you suspect of cheating so that we can take care of these people together. And then, since the Goat video has come out, and Linus Tech Tips actually was talking about this for 2 different WAN shows, Now they're saying that they are going to be looking even deeper into it, though what that means very much remains to be seen. All of that being said, we will probably keep some tabs on this because it's very interesting, because this has greater implications across the FPS genre, not just this one specific game, though this is technically an indie game, I believe. So I don't know how much it's going to affect the rest of the community, but we will keep tabs and let you know. So that being said, let's move on. And then our next piece has to do with Amazon Prime. So we talked previously about the fact that Amazon Prime was vying for an NFL license so that you could watch NFL games on Amazon Prime. That they won. I believe we even did a follow-up there. The reason this is not a follow-up, though it is related to that, is because this is actually rather huge. You are no longer required to have Amazon Prime to watch the NFL on Amazon. With a rather major caveat. That caveat is it's only for the Black Friday game. So if you want to watch the NFL the day after Thanksgiving while you're doing all of your digital shopping, you don't need an Amazon Prime membership. You can just watch that game on Amazon, which is pretty huge. That's the news piece. There's no, you don't have to sign up for anything. This is just free for everybody. So probably testing the market here to see the viability for such things going forward. So could be actually kind of great for even Prime members. I would venture that they're theoretically, this could lead to cheaper Amazon Prime tiers as far as content goes. So potentially to be ad supported. Who knows? That's not really working for, who was it just pulled? Peacock rather, just pulled their free ad supported tier. So I don't know. We'll see. It's an interesting market right now. That is all we have for regular ass news. So let's get into suggestions for gaming and tech, and this is technically a tech suggestion. It's actually a short movie, short being 4.5 minutes long, but it's made in Unreal Engine 5, which is kind of cool, but then it's also Superman. Superman Awakens is a fan-made film. It is honestly kind of badass. You should probably check it out if you are a fan of DC comic characters. It's a couple weeks old at this point, but I just found it and I just thought I would share because it is so much fun. Go check out Superman Awakens on YouTube. Comic books and books is quick. We have One Piece, and that One Piece is 20th Century Studios is a new comic book label that is being started by obviously Disney because they own 20th Century at this point. This is being created very specifically for the likes of Planet of the Apes, Aliens, and Predator, and then things of a similar nature, very likely the more mature, not really Marvel-friendly kind of stuff is going to be going on to 20th Century Studios. The first book is going to be Planet of the Apes. It's going to be on shelves April 5th, and then from there will be more announcements, and we will talk about them. There are currently at least one book for each of those franchises, Planet of the Apes, Aliens, and Predator. They all have books on the roster. Again, the big one is the launch title, and that's Planet of the Apes, April 5th. So we'll keep you posted. That's what we got, though, so let's get into comics and books suggestions. All right, so suggestion for this episode is another William Gibson book. We talked about Neuromancer previously. We actually talked about Mona Lisa Overdrive again, but there's a book that happens in between those two in the Sprawl trilogy, and that's the book we're talking about today. That is Count Zero. Count Zero is, again, the second book of the Sprawl trilogy. Takes place technically 7 years after the events of the Neuromancer book. Like I said, we've spoken of previously. It's fantastic. This is cyberpunk. This is the world that they are borrowing from when they create things like The Matrix and the cyberpunk video game and the cyberpunk anime and basically any anime that has that same aesthetic. It's coming from the minds of people like William Gibson, Neil Stephenson, these authors that we talk about here. So yeah, definitely worth a read. Absolutely one of the greatest fiction authors of our lifetime, William Gibson's Count Zero. Let's talk about TV streaming. I'm over the episodic thing. I'll change the graphic eventually. It might stay as episodic for a while, but yeah, as it stands right now, it's just easier to say TV. Everyone else just still calls it TV. I thought I was doing something original and nice and good, and it's just too much of a mouthful. It's TV streaming at best, but TV nonetheless. All right, so follow-ups in the TV section. First up, we have Daredevil has officially announced we will in fact be seeing John Barenthal as the Punisher in Daredevil Born Again. This one comes with, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because it's awesome that Barenthal's coming as Punisher, but still missing in these announcements are Deborah Ann Woll and Eldon Henderson, or Henson rather. I can't remember her character's name, but Froggy, yeah, just missing. They're as it stands right now, they're not going to be in the series, and Disney has nothing to say about that. So potentially, because there has not been an official word one way or the other, potentially the door is still open. These two could come back to their roles in the Disney version of this show. It's not looking great though from all of the sources in the world. They're just not likely to happen. So there you go. Next up on the list, we're talking about the Walking Dead Rick and Michonne series. Still without a title, but we do have a new casting announcement. Leslie Ann Brandt, who was in Lucifer. I don't know exactly who she played in Lucifer, because I'm still kind of not really watching, but half watching Lucifer. When I'm at the gym, it's on the TV, and sometimes I watch it. But yeah, the new character to the franchise, the character's name is going to be Pearl Thorne. That doesn't really do much for us because the series hasn't started yet, but that's really interesting to know. Let's move right along. We got one more follow-up, and it is about the series Barry. We talked about it previously. It does pretty well in the nerd community. It's actually a fun watch, though I've only watched, I believe, just the one episode, the very first episode. I'll get through it eventually, and we'll talk about it in That Just Happened. That Just Happened, by the way, is the complimentary show to this show. I know I've been kind of not great the last couple of weeks about getting it onto the syndicated outlets, but it will find its way back to you, I promise. That is where we talk about the things after they've come out or after they've come to fruition, and we get to interact with them. Then we talk about them on the That Just Happened, and you know, that's again sister show. Go check it out, whatever. Barry, however, back to the news. Barry season 4 is officially going to be the final season for Barry. There is a new trailer for the 4th season, and also, you know, just kind of sad day for Barry. Though they did say that it is going to have a proper ending, and it's not going to be a cliffhanger, because they knew the ending was coming, so they could plan for it, which is great. If you're going to cancel a show, let the showrunner know so they can make it work. All right, so that's what we got for follow-ups and corrections. Let's talk about trailers. We did just talk about the Barry trailer. We have one other just plain ass trailer, and that has to do with American Dad season 18. American Dad is now living on TBS. TBS bought the rights to them a couple of seasons ago. I want to say roundabout what is properly referred to as season 16 these days. But the reason I keep saying kind of weird things about the season numbers is because technically this is the 20th season, but because of the way that they've rolled them together once TBS bought the rights to it, they kind of rolled, I believe it was season 1 and season 2 in together, and then season 3 and season 4 in together, which means you're down 2 seasons. So, yeah. I really, that's about as good of an explanation as I could find, because I spent time looking for it, and it's just a freaking trailer that we're talking about. The trailer is more of the same, is more of exactly what you love about American Dad, so sure. I mean, if you don't already know what American Dad is, it's the other great cartoon from Seth MacFarlane, the guy who gave us Family Guy, and American Dad is not on the same level as Family Guy, at least Family Guy at its prime. Family Guy now is not that great, but American Dad, I don't think has really peaked or valleyed. It's just kind of went up and then plateaued and stayed right where it, which is generally not a great thing, but in this case, it's not a bad thing either. So there's that. That's our one trailer. Let's talk about some regular ass news, and we got a little bit of an interesting update on the Sons of Anarchy franchise. According to actor Theo Rossi, who, if you remember, played Juice in the original series, not the Mayans series, but the very original, started it all. He was doing an interview recently, and he said that there is potentially something in the works. So I guess this kind of is rumor, but he's saying that they're just looking for contracts and such, is kind of the illusion he's making. But there very potentially is going to be something. He was not willing to share if it was going to be like a mini series or maybe a movie or a direct to streaming movie or anything of that nature. But there is something that is going to be reuniting that original cast, which is very strange because few of those characters are dead. The lead of the show, Jackson Teller, dead. The character that Theo Rossi plays, Juice, dead. How is that gonna work? But if more comes out about this, we will definitely be talking about it. That's what we got for the regular ass news. Let's talk about our TV streaming suggestion this week is Night Sky. I finally finished it over on Amazon Prime. J.K. Simmons, Sissy Spacek lead this cast, and it is bonkers. It is a lot of fun. It is science fiction in a very different kind of vein for science fiction. It's a lot more character-driven drama, and it's like a near future kind of science fiction, but also not really. Very hard to put into words, but also a hell of a great show to watch. It is only the one season. It will not be coming back for a second season, so it's just a lot of fun to think about what could have been with season 2. Once you get to the end, you'll know what I'm talking about. And yeah, absolutely worth a watch. Go watch Night Sky. Okay, movie news. We have more follow-ups. First up, the Alien movie, or the new Alien movie that we talked about previously that was kind of still somewhere in the ether and not a whole lot of details were known about it. We have some details now. It is going to be a straight to Hulu movie, much like the Predator movie called Prey that just happened that I still need to watch. But again, we'll talk about that over in That Just Happened. But so Hulu sequel synopsis, we have casting first. Haley Spaney, who was in Pacific Rim Uprising, has been cast as the lead. David Johnson from Industry, Archie Renault from Shadow and Bone, Isabella Merced, I believe, Merced maybe, Transformers The Last Night, Spike Fern, from The Batman, and Eileen Wu from Away From Home. That is our cast as we know it so far. We also have a working title. It's called Alien Romulus, so what could that mean? And then we have our little brief synopsis of our, and that is as follows. A group of young people on a distant world who find themselves in a confrontation with the most terrifying life form in the universe. That's all they're giving us so far, but it's better than nothing, right? So the release date still has not yet been made known, though I wasn't sure if we talked about this previously, but Ridley Scott is involved in the production. He's just getting a producer's credit, so whether or not he's actually doing anything kind of remains to be seen. And it's an executive producer credit even, so very much more likely he's not doing a whole lot as far as like what a producer actually does, but it is what it is. That's what we got. Let's move. Speaking of The Batman, we finally have a shoot date announced for The Batman 2. Begin filming November 23rd in order to hit its release date of still October 3rd of 2024. So it seems pretty on track. I'm hopeful. Come on, Pattinson, let's do this. Next, we're talking about a movie that I think a lot of people kind of forgot about because we talked about it when it was originally announced, but that was some months ago, and now they finally have a director. Detective Pikachu 2 has a director, Jonathan Crystal. Well, all right. it's not officially, as of me taking these notes a day or two ago, it's not officially set in stone just yet, though all accounts say that it is basically a done deal. They're just waiting for the ink to dry, if you will. Jonathan Crystal is in talks to direct the show, the movie rather, and if that name doesn't do anything for you, you don't know who that is. I didn't either. He is apparently the co-creator of the show Portlandia, so that's weird. But it is what it is. Let's move right along. Next, we have something from the Star Wars camp, and this is confirmation of rumor that we talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago, actually. And that rumor is that Rogue Squadron and the Kevin Feige Star Wars movies have been canceled, and that has been officially announced. Yes, in fact, those 2 movies are no longer going to be happening. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron and Kevin Feige's unnamed Star Wars movie are both no longer a thing. I do still very, very much hope they find someone, maybe a little bit down the way at this point, who can do something with the Rogue Squadron IP, because that was a great game, so we got to get a great movie out of it too. But if we don't, it's still a great game, so you don't need to make a movie out of it, but it would be fun either way. Yeah, this is, again, confirming things that we already know, because they were from pretty good rumor sources. There was, the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie is also still moving forward, and we did get a little bit of an update there, and that's Taika is very likely going to be playing one of the characters in his movie as well. So take with that what you will. And then the Rian Johnson's trilogy. Still, there has not been an official word one way or the other since we last heard that it is somewhere in the early pre-production, so presumably that's still moving forward. Don't know how excited about that I am, but it is what it is. Let's move right along. Let's go into now trailers, and we got some great trailers this week. TMNT Mutant Mayhem, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, baby. Our next animated movie from the likes of Seth Rogen got a trailer. This time, the Turtles are actually going to be teenagers, which is weird. Let's do that. The internet is kind of going crazy about the April O'Neil in this trailer, because she's young as well, which actually makes sense. But she's also been race swapped, so she's black instead of white, which honestly, it's more been race swapped, so she's black instead of Asian. The original OG April O'Neil, a lot of people are saying she was black in the very first comic that she appeared in. No, actually, it was a black and white comic, so it was kind of hard to portray. And depending on which creator you talk to, Eastman or Laird, Eastman, I believe, viewed her as a white character, and Laird viewed her as a mixed Asian character. So she is actually of Asian descent, if you want to even do that mind game with yourself at all, or others try and feel superior because you know what the original April. No, in a non-canon comic book, she was made black in the very early days, and subsequent reprintings of that non-canon comic book make her Asian because there was no definitive acknowledgement of her race, so they just kind of changed the pigment of her skin, and recolorings of the original black and white comics also, I believe, make her at least appear to be kind of white, but she has dark hair, so maybe that means she could be whatever. It's irrelevant, because if it's a good story, nobody cares, right? That's the point. As long as this is a fun story and they get the personalities of these characters correct, that's the biggest hurdle we're trying to get to with the Ninja Turtles. The rest of it is just details, and the devil is in the details, so I don't want to get into that, but no, poor attempt at a joke, I apologize. But yeah, so I'm actually pretty stoked about this. The April situation kind of is what it is. She's been black in a number of different iterations at this point, so her race makes no difference, so long as they tell me a fun, actual Ninja Turtle story and not whatever the hell Michael Bay gave us. Fair? Fair. Let's move on. Next trailer is one called Off The Grid. So we got, it's a new Neil Blomkamp movie. Neil Blomkamp obviously is the guy who brought us District 9, as well as Elysium. He was going to give us the Halo movie before... This was like Halo 3, I think, was still the new game when that was originally announced. And that was in development hell forever. So that's actually what led into District 9. No word yet on District 10, though it is, last we heard, still in somewhere in pre-production. But this is noteworthy. This Off the Grid movie is noteworthy because it is animated. I've never seen an animated movie come from Neil Blomkamp. He did do some animated shorts for a thing on HBO Max, I want to say. It could be Amazon Prime, I don't remember. But he did one of a series, which was great. I remember watching his specifically because I really like Neil Blomkamp. This, though, is a little bit different. I don't know. It's done in Unreal Engine 5, and this trailer really has me going, well, what's the rest of the movie gonna be? If that's because the trailer is long. It's basically a scene from the movie, and I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I want to see what happens. Yeah, so go check out that trailer. Sorry, that was a long way to get to that part. And then our final trailer for movies this episode is Haunted Mansion finally dropped a trailer. This actually looks like it could be pretty spooky. It's definitely not going to be scary. There's probably going to be a couple of jump scares, which doesn't count. But as far as a kids movie goes, because it is going to be rated PG, it is Disney doing, a thing based on a ride that's been at the park forever. And yeah, I legitimately am kind of intrigued by this one as well. The trailer is doing its job, man, because it makes me want to go see this movie. So go check out those trailers. Let's move right along. We got no regular ass news, so we do just move right into movie suggestions for the week. This week we're suggesting the movie Whiplash. Whiplash came out 2014, starring J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller, and you don't need anything else. Those two together on screen. J.K. won a bleeding Oscar for this. I know that doesn't necessarily mean much, but there is a damn reason why he was nominated for this, because he is amazing in this movie, and Teller just stays with him the entire time. This is some of the best cinema you are ever going to watch. Absolutely turn off the episode now and go watch Whiplash, please. And that moves us into the rumor mill. All right, nerds, rumor mill it is. So pardon me while I take a drink. So, we have no confirmations or refutations aside what we covered in the movies section with the whole Star Wars thing. There are more Star Wars rumors we're going to get to, but the confirmation obviously this week would be Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and whatever Kevin Feige was going to make no longer happening. So that's what we talked about previously. We do have new sources for old rumors, and we're going to get to that right now. First up, we're going to talk about those Star Wars rumors because we have to squash them. We have to put an end to this because it's absolutely silly. So, news sources are hinting about previously reported rumors saying that Lucasfilm is going to retcon the sequel trilogy. I know Doomcock is talking about this. I know Cosmic Book is reporting on it, though I don't think they buy into it. Bounding into Comics also, and I think even We Got This Covered got in on this action. Whoever their specific sources are, I don't know, but this is not happening. This is not happening. This is not happening. They're not going to retcon the sequel trilogy no matter how much we want them to. It's just not going to happen. They will disregard probably elements of the sequel trilogy. They will pretend like certain things didn't happen, but the movies that still exist in canon, like, they're gonna screw it's gonna make it worse. It's exactly what it's gonna do, but it's not gonna make fans happy, that's for sure. So my reasoning for this is because we got the characters in the first episode. I haven't watched the most recent episode of Mando. I apologize, but it just hasn't happened yet. But the first episode of Mandalorian, we got those little characters that were the same race as Babu Frick. Babu Frick was introduced into the sequel trilogy. That's where he came from first. Favreau is talking about stories happening after the sequel trilogy, set a significant time after, even, I believe he said in one interview. But that does not mean the sequel trilogy is being retconned. Can we please drop this now? Please. I know it sucks, but it is what it is, so we gotta just kind of take it and roll, right? So our other piece of new rumor information, we're going back to The Flash, because of course we're going back to The Flash. Grant Gustin is once again being rumored to be replacing Ezra Miller as the big screen Flash. This also is not gonna happen. I would really like to see the attempt. I don't think Grant Gustin is a bad actor. I just don't think he's a capable enough actor to carry a whole movie. Ezra Miller also probably fits in that boat as well, so I'm not saying he would be any better or worse than Ezra, but no, I am saying that he wouldn't be better than Ezra necessarily. Hey, that's a great band. But I also don't think he would necessarily be worse than Ezra, so we'll put it that way. But it's not happening. James Gunn's not going to do that. James Gunn is going to, if anything, he's going to recast Ezra with somebody else who is a movie actor, not a TV actor. I understand that Grant does well on the TV show, but being in a movie is a completely different sphere of acting ability, generally speaking. Again, I think it would be great to see him try. I think it would be worth it to see him try, and I think he potentially could make the leap from small to big screen. I just don't think this is going to be how it happens. Just the way Gunn is running things, there's no evidence to believe that this could be a possibility at all. So there you go. Let's get into new rumors now, shall we? First up in new rumors, we have a new MCU rumor talking about the return of Ultron. But not exactly how you think Ultron would return if you were a comic book reader and he sometimes just pops up with a brand new edition. Like, hey, I'm gonna be evil for a while and then there's gonna be 50 of me. It's not gonna be something like that. He's going to return, apparently, according to the rumor, going to return as an AI in Armor Wars series, which I believe just got pushed back. I could be wrong with that information, but yeah. So, interesting. It's fairly insignificant in the grand scheme of things. I think if they do this, it would be James Spader coming back to voice an AI as an Easter egg for the fans. I don't think it's going to be proper Ultron because they've moved past that. Feige is not one to really rehash the past necessarily. So we're going to put this one right about 50% because it would be cool if it happens. There is a limited reason to believe that it would happen. There is also a limited reason to believe it won't happen. So kind of either or, 50% likely. Let's go on. Next, we have one about the new Brave and the Bold movie. This one is actually one that I'm surprised didn't get rumored quicker. And that is Ben Affleck is being rumored to direct James Gunn's Batman movie. Ben Affleck has made it known that he wants to direct another DC movie. He has he's been in talks to direct a movie. So how cool would it be for him to direct the next Batman movie, because he was just Batman, right? So the thing's coming full circle. And again, just a number of reasons why this is very likely to happen. There is a fair bit to say that maybe he's just moved on from DC now that he's no longer going to play Batman. So that's why we're not going probably as high as some of you might want, but we are going 70% likely that this is going to be a thing because there is a fair amount of information out there dealing with this. Next, we're talking about Avengers Secret Wars. The series is reportedly getting pushed back, and not just a little bit. According to the rumor, it's getting pushed back to 2028. As it stands right now, the official release for the Secret Wars series is 25, I believe. So that's 3 years. Again, I'm kind of going by rote, so I could have that off by about a year. So it's either 2 or 3 years, because I think it's 25 or 26. I can't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure it's 25. So 3 years pushback. That's huge. Likelihood that this is a thing, honestly, from what we've been hearing from Disney and them, kind of shuffling things around because things aren't going as well as they want, specifically Marvel movies and Star Wars movies, I think there is a strong possibility. We're going to go, again, 70% likely that this is legit. Yeah, very much. Let's do this. Scream 7 is our next rumor. That's right, Scream 6 still has not... Scream 6 just released this weekend. Apparently the release numbers were good enough that they have already greenlit another Scream movie. This one, there's no rhyme or reason to when they do a Scream movie or any of that information. They kind of jumped into Scream 6 and now it follows suit. Let's jump right into Scream 7. This one comes from a pretty weak source though, so I can't go super high. We're going to look at this one at about 60% likely that Scream 7 has already been greenlit. Will we see a Scream 7 even if it hasn't been greenlit right now? Yeah, probably. I feel like we're about 2 years away from seeing Scream 7, unless it's greenlit as of this weekend, in which case... yeah, we'll probably see it next year. Who knows? And then we're going to talk about The Mandalorian. We got rumors on The Mandalorian. This is a rumor that I think we're going to have to squash as well. A rumor is that they're going to be recasting the role of Cara Dune. They specifically said, Favreau specifically said, again, going by rote, so maybe I'm misquoting, but by my recollection, at the very least, Favreau has said that Cara Dune will not be recast. At the most, she'll be written out, but they will not recast her. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm about 90% certain that that is a paraphrase of something that Favreau has legitimately said. So the likelihood that they're going to recast her now, being as, again, other rumors are pointing to the fact that Favreau is getting more power on the Star Wars side of Disney, very unlikely. We're going to put this one at about 25% likelihood that they will recast Cara Dune, because just... Favreau doesn't want to do it. Favreau's the guy in charge, so no reason to believe it'll happen. If you are confused, nerds, about any of the things that we talked about, the rumors that we're revisiting, or any of these follow-ups or anything like that, it's because you're missing episodes of The Week in Nerdom, which is the show you're watching. So you need to be subscribed and maybe give a thumbs up or do the other things and do all that stuff in order to get updates and such. I appreciate you coming all the way to the end of the episode. You should be able to click or tap for the older episodes next to my face right now. Subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.